What's up, fellow travelers? My name is Caleb and welcome back to TILP. Okay, so if you clicked on this video, you are probably interested in the cost of living for Brazil at the end of 2024 going into 2025. Lucky for you, that is exactly what this video is going to be about. We have spent the last 6 months in Brazil. Well, 3 months earlier in the year and 3 months right now. We stayed in the southern parts like Torres and Capão da Canoa, and then we stayed in some places in between Rio and Sao Paulo like Ilhabela, or where we are now, Caraguatatuba. And it has been really awesome. We thought we would explore and explain some of the costs that we have encountered while living here. I'm going to go over rent, groceries, and kind of fun or entertainment-based costs. This video will be geared more towards digital nomads, slow travelers, or people looking to move to Brazil long-term. However, if you're just visiting, you'll probably get something out of this as well. To hear my conclusion, stick around until the end. Let's get started with rent. This is something that can kind of be really high or really low. Location and where you are renting is the biggest factor when considering how much it will cost you to rent per month. We, for example, stayed in 4 different cities, all of them kind of rural, but some of them still medium-sized towns like Torres or Capão da Canoa. We never paid more than, I think, $550 USD for a nice 2-bedroom apartment in each of these cities. So in a rural area, a 2-bedroom apartment could cost you anywhere between $400 to maybe $600 USD. You can definitely get a better deal if you are renting off of something like Airbnb and just renting locally. However, then you will often have to maybe pay the electricity or internet, for example. If you are a single person just looking for a small accommodation or a studio in a rural part of Brazil, you could probably pay as little as $250 to $400 USD a month, especially if you spend a little bit of time looking around first. Now, this can increase quite a bit if you, for example, want to stay next to Ipanema Beach in a high-rise apartment tower. Then you're probably looking at like 1,000 or maybe 1,500 USD for a 1 or 2-bedroom apartment just because of the prime location. However, Brazil is a really big country and it has a spectacular amount of spectacular coastline. I recommend you visit some of the lesser known towns and not just stick to Copacabana and Ipanema Beach. There's tons of beautiful beaches all throughout the country, and some of them have some nice little towns with really good rental prices. So spread your tourist dollars into some of the more unknown areas, like for example where we just stayed on Ilhabela is relatively unknown to the greater travel community, and we paid for 540 USD a month for a nice 2-bedroom on the island. Next, let's talk about groceries and food costs. In our experience, Brazil is actually maybe slightly cheaper than the last country we were in, which was Peru, by maybe, I don't know, 10-15% regarding grocery costs. If you want to see exactly what we were able to get for 100 USD on Ilhabela, which actually charges maybe a little bit more than other parts of the country, then I'll put a link to that video in the description. However, overall, we spend about 100 USD per week for 2 people on groceries. We eat in a lot and we cook a decent amount, and we try to buy relatively good ingredients. The produce sections and the meat sections here in Brazil are honestly really high quality, so you can get pretty high quality groceries for a low price, especially since it's a tropical area. Fruits and veg are super cheap and super good, usually coming from some relatively local area. If you are just a solo traveler looking to lower your budget as much as possible for groceries while traveling here in Peru, you could probably get as low as 35 to 45 USD a week. Finally, for fun and entertainment. Well, honestly, a lot of locals do kind of affordable activities. Brazil is a really beautiful country full of super scenic hikes and beaches, so one of the best things to do is also free, which is just exploring nature, hanging out on the beach, or going for a hike in the jungle. If you do want to go on some various tours, like in Iguazu or on Ilhabela, where we just were, then this could run you anywhere between maybe 25 to 100 USD, depending on what they offer and what you're doing, like a whole day trip with different meals and different excursions. That could cost you a little bit more, but you can usually find a tour from a local guide for, I don't know, 25, 30 bucks, depending on where you are. As far as eating out, we've been a little bit spoiled. We now consider anything over 10 USD per person expensive. So you can spend more than that if you want. Obviously, you could probably get a really nice fancy dinner for maybe 2 people for around 50 USD, and this will be a top-notch restaurant. However, if you do want to go to more budget places, you can easily feed 2 people for under $20. In some places, you can feed 2 people for under $10. A lot of the small local restaurants will have what they call like a plate of the day, and this can range anywhere between $5 to $7 and is usually pretty good with a good sized portion. A nice bottle of wine here in Brazil will cost you anywhere between $8 to $15. Quite a few different brands of beer sell for $1 to $2 per can, and this can be cheaper if you buy maybe the 600 milliliter bottle. So for one person to go out, have a nice dinner and a few drinks shouldn't cost you more than $15 to $20. That's a pretty good deal in my opinion. Overall, you don't have to spend a lot to have a good time in Brazil. Some of the best things to do are just go to a local samba where everybody's hanging out, drinking cheap, commonly found beer, or to go to the beach and hang out there, also where many people are just drinking cheap, common beer. So overall, the people are really nice, and there's a lot of physical activity that people do, whether it's playing futebol, or some other beach sport, or jogging, or working out, or hiking, or surfing, or whatever it is. There's tons of free activities you can do in Brazil to keep your costs low while traveling through the country. Alright, so overall, I would say that Brazil is one of the cheaper countries in South America right now, actually having maybe a 5 to 10% lower cost of living comparatively to other countries like Colombia or Brazil. I think that the quality of the food and grocery products is surprisingly high for how little it costs. The accommodation costs are also extremely reasonable, especially if you move away from the few very well-known tourist areas. And Brazil is a country full of activities that you can do for very cheap or free. A little bit of bonus cost information for clothing, for example, I bought this shirt for about 6 USD, and that is not uncommon to find clothes between $6 to $12 for a pants or a t-shirt. In summary, I think Brazil is one of the most cost-effective locations in South America for any budget slow traveler or anybody looking to stretch their dollar going into 2025. It is a beautiful country full of really awesome people, tons of free activities, really high quality produce and meats for the cost, and relatively affordable accommodation, especially if you're moving outside of the main areas. That concludes this cost of living Brazil video. If you found this entertaining or informative, please give it a like and a thumbs up. If you disagree with any of the numbers that I threw out there, also comment down below. Let me know what your monthly budget is while staying in Brazil. Till next time, guys. See you later. Bye.